Welcome back to the Imaginary Gallery. Tonight's topic is a quick little snippet of another example of counter manipulation, which may give you some ideas in the case that you're dealing with such a person. Because generally, counter manipulation is not advised. But there are times when you're like stuck in a situation, such as it's your family and you live there at the house, or it's your partner and you're in the same house, or whatever the case is. Sometimes you might want to engage in the counter manipulation if you're trapped, at least usually temporarily, but for the moment. And that's what this example covers. If you go back to my previous videos, you'll hear the old sob story, which is not a sob story, but was a story, and involved my situation, which in case you didn't, I'll sum it up here. I lived with the same person for over a decade. The person decided that it wanted to chase after some other young, unemployed kid and tell me to hit the road. Well, before all this hit the road stuff happened, I could see the signs. I could tell something was fishy because we'd lived together for like over the decade, and then all of a sudden this cute, hot, sweet young boy and him were like hanging out together regularly. And I thought, okay, for the last decade, you've never had any special little friend that you hang out with. Oh, you're wearing new cologne. Oh, you've got new haircut. Oh, you've got new clothes. All the classic symptoms there to indicate something's fishy. But cluster B would be like, oh, you're paranoid. Oh, you're imagining things. Oh, he's just a friend. Well, when you're educated and you're an adult, you can see right through that. Plus, I actually thought the guy was attractive too, so I could empathize to think, well, if he's throwing himself at you, well, I could understand the allure of, but again, that does not fit in because I'm paranoid. So this person, as they many times do, try to push it further and further. For example, I worked Monday through Friday. This person was a hairdresser that only worked like Tuesday through Saturday. So it seemed to me like he was like just pushing and pushing and pushing to just see how far he could go with this beautiful, retarded delinquent who was also, the other kid was like in trouble with the law. He had like assault charges in his history. He was basically a fool who couldn't contain his emotions and used violence. And anyway, it was a Monday when I had to work, and hairdressers typically don't work on Mondays. And of course, he let me know that he was going to go pick up this carless, jobless beauty and bring him back over. So he did that, and here I am getting ready for work, getting dressed and so on, and then here he is with this guy, and I'm like seeing it in our house, thinking, you've got a cute little young guy here. I've got to go to work. So I left. I went to work and just figured, what is he doing? Because again, none of this type of thing had ever happened at all throughout the entire decade. So I'm like thinking, something's fishy. Well, I went ahead and worked my full shift, and then I figured I would come home and hopefully that kid would be gone and I could like have a discussion to say like, look, what's going on here? Come on now. If I started bringing over a young little cute thing, you'd be questioned. And I was like going over all this in my head, thinking, okay, well, I finally get home, park, go inside the house, and I walk in the front door, and all of a sudden I hear a voice, which is the monster I lived with, saying, "Come join us out here for a drink. We're having a drink." And I just thought, you've got to be kidding. This kid is still here? Oh, and it was just like torture. Like, what is going on here? Because again, if the roles were reversed, if I did any of this, it would be like a major no-no. But that kid was still here. And I saw it, and I thought, he's been here all day. I worked like an 8 or 9 hour shift, and then this kid's been. You can probably imagine the feelings that were going through this head, because clearly something's off. But I was kind of like trapped, because if that's your home and you live there, and that's why I bring up this counter manipulation thing, for certain circumstances, if you can't just like leave the scene and go and be gone and happy, well, if you're stuck there, sometimes you have to resort to counter manipulation, which is what I did. So I did a fake dramatic thing, which the other person had done before, so I figured I'd emulate it, where I saw the kid there, rolled my eyes, and thought, ugh, and then went downstairs, grabbed a suitcase, threw a bunch of crap in there to simulate the idea that I was leaving. Again, because I didn't necessarily know for a fact I was dealing with a cluster B fuckface, so I figured I'll try to appeal to his sense of empathy, which doesn't exist. But I did that, and then guess what happens? As I'm downstairs, the child that he's pursuing comes down the steps into the laundry room where I am and says something on the order of, "Yeah, I get the idea. Did you think that me and him have something going on? He's not my type. I like Italian people." And I was sitting there looking at it like, mm-hmm. So at this point, I'm figuring, wow, this is a joint effort. They're both actively trying to cover up whatever scandal is occurring. Because if you were in that situation, you would know there's a scandal. I mean, it's kind of obvious. But anyway, I was, again, a person with self-respect. So I was taking this all in and thinking, what is happening? What can I do? So I got an idea, and I went back up the steps, and this house happened to have a deck in the back. It overlooked the city, and there's like a sliding glass door, and I noticed that the kid, unemployed Carlos kid, was out there by himself, and the monster person was in the kitchen doing, probably mixing the next drink round for them. So I figured, you know what, now's my chance, because remember, I'm trapped. This is my home. My things are here. My dogs are here. My belongings are here, and he's bringing this creature into this space. So I figured, well, I'll use whatever I have, and so on. So I went to the deck, and I opened up the sliding glass door and saw that kid out there. So I went right to the kid and said, "You know what? I think Nameless Monster has a crush on you." And I said it just like that. "I think Nameless Person has a crush on you." And which, of course, is when you know what's really going on, which, of course, we found out later it really was. But they're all holding up the fake, false reality that nothing's going on. And I could see right through it, and I was trapped in that house. I was like, fine. And I did that, and I then went down the stairs to their bedroom or something, and all of a sudden I heard, "We're leaving!" And they left. So I thought, good riddance. Well, then 30 minutes later, I got a phone call from the monster who was coming back to my home, our home, saying, "Why did you go out there and say that to him about me having a crush on him? Why would you do that to one of our guests? How he wanted to leave because you made him uncomfortable. La 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 la." Oh, fuck you, fuckface. I called him out on the game he's playing. But that's just an example of counter manipulation because I was trapped. I couldn't just pick up everything at that moment and go elsewhere, so I figured, well, you're going to play these games with me? Well, here you go in return.
Plus, I'm better at it than you are. And the end of the story was that they did run off together in the limelight or the sunset or whatever. And the violent child ended up assaulting the monster that I was with and resulted in some kind of restraining order, so I have nothing else to say.
I am the narcopath.
Let me just take you back into time. Do you remember the night that you flirted with me? Little old me? You flirted with me? And you, saw that I was looking for a taxi? And you asked if I needed a ride home? Remember that? Well, I recall I acted a little intoxicated, and you told me that you lived right down the street. And I told you in the car I had to go potty. I had to urinate. And that was the hint that you fell for. And you offered to take me by your place just so I could go pee-pee. And I said, sure. Well, do you remember that you offered me another drink? And I stumbled across the floor and said, is it okay if I rest here for a little while? Wink, wink, wink. You recall that, don't you? You do recall that, don't you? You better. But, in case you forgot, your face came up to mine like this. Do you recall what I did? I jumped back and I said, I don't ever kiss on the first date. And of course, what did you say? You said you were just kidding, just to see what I would do, because you never kiss on a first date. And if I did, I would be off your list of potential